Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And I know, this video, I advertised this video a while ago. Y'all, I did the video, made the thumbnail and everything. Did not like the video, so I wanted to redo it. So yes, I have a new wig, different wig than the thumbnail, but it's okay because we about to get straight into this video. All right. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about hemodialysis mistakes that you can avoid and how to avoid them. Okay, so I'm basically going to be telling you guys some mistakes that I have made, some mistakes that I have seen, and how to just just avoid all of that. Because I know there's still some people that have been watching me that's thinking about dialysis or is doing dialysis, and I just switched to phlebotomy pretty much unexpected. So I'm basically gonna be trying to help you guys out. I am still gonna try to go through my notes and stuff like that, so you guys can take your guys' tests that you have to take to qualify for a job position. So it's gonna take me some time. I am in school. I am a full-time worker, full-time student, and a full-time YouTuber as well. So 3 things I'm full-time in, y'all. So just give me time. I'm trying. But for right now, I am just going to give you guys how to avoid hemodialysis mistakes. So if you're interested, then stay tuned.
Savage bitch, in your trap and take over. Name another bitch that's cold. I just bought a brand new Rover. I don't even drive no more, I got a chauffeur. Took off, man, they asking me to slow up. Getting wiser and my money getting older. Now that bitch, I ain't even gonna hold it. Now that bitch, and I thought that it told that bitch.
Okay, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking down at my laptop. So I am going to be searching some of these questions, not all of them. And I am in my notes to see which questions or what I did that can help you guys and what I've seen. I've written it all down. So we are going to start off with checking your flow sheets. To avoid all mistakes whatsoever, please check the flow sheets. All right, the flow sheets tell you what type of needle they're supposed to be on. There's 15 gauge, there's 14 gauge, there's 16 gauge, and there's 17 gauge. 15 gauge has 2 different types. There's 15 and a quarter, and then there's the regular 15 gauge. So that means one is longer than the other. 14 gauge is 14, 16 to 16, 17 to 17. Okay, so you guys have to pay attention to your needles. Like, there were some times where we would have patients that would be like, okay, they're this on a 15, this on a 15, this on a 15, but we forget that there's 15 and then there's 15 and a quarter. They're in the same packet, same color. You have to actually read the label so you won't accidentally stick the patient with a longer needle than they're supposed to be stuck with. Now, you could be like, oh, it's just a little bit longer. What difference is it going to be? Right? But you can really mess up their access like that, whether they have a fistula, whether they have a graft, because if they're prescribed a certain needle, it's for a reason. It may be depending on how deep the fistula or graft is, how surfaced it is, what kind of angle it's at. Like, there's a reason why we use a certain needle. Okay, so you guys just keep that in mind. Pay attention to your flow sheets, and it also tells you heparin. Now, we had a situation with one of the techs, which was new. So it was like, okay, so the tech gave this person heparin, right? So when you give a person heparin, there's 2 ways to give heparin. There's heparin you give them through the line, and also you give heparin through the machine. When you give a patient heparin through the machine, you have to time the machine to every hour. So it gives a certain amount of heparin every hour. Now, for you giving it in the beginning of treatment is to keep the patient from clotting. And if they continuously need it throughout treatment, that is to keep them from clotting. Okay. So if you forget the heparin, you're gonna be getting machine alarms. You're gonna have issues with, it pulling the blood, because it's going to clot up if you forget the heparin. So we had an incident where a co-worker gave them heparin like she was supposed to, and she also set up the machine to give them heparin, but she set up the machine wrong. So the machine gave the patient all the heparin within the first hour. Like, it was like this much heparin, and it's supposed to go down like every hour. They gave them all the heparin. Y'all, it was a whole mess. We ended up having to give him more heparin, because if we didn't, he would have called it up within his whole treatment. So he just had to hold his access very, very long, because with the extra heparin means more bleeding. And that brings me back to, well, that brings me to the next problem that we had. Bleeding. Y'all, I got some stories on bleeding. I got some stories on bleeding. I got some stories on bleeding. Okay, some patients do not. Some patients are able to hold their access. Some patients are not able to hold their access. Some patients do not want to hold their access. You got to tell the difference from those three. Who can, who can't, who don't want to. Because when you're running and trying to get patients off the machine and on the machine, the patients that don't want to hold the access and want you to stand there and hold the access, it's just going to be like, dog, like, really? Like, you can't hold it? Like, for real? But here's to solve your problem. We have a clamp in the dialysis clinics. You're supposed to have a clamp that you'll be able to use when holding the access site. So instead of you holding the access site as a tech, or the patient holding the access site, the clamp will hold the access site. But here's the thing about the clamp. When you stick somebody for dialysis, whether they have a graft or a fistula, they're going to have two different sticks, one above the other and one below the other, right? So when you get a clamp, it can only hold one of those sites. So that means either you clamp one and you hold one, you clamp one, they hold one, or you clamp one, leave the needle in, come back a few minutes, unclamp, and see if it's still bleeding. If it's not, then you clamp the next one. You cannot put two clamps on the same arm. It messes up the access site, it messes up the access site, it messes up the access site. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Straight like that. Can't use two clamps on the same arm. I know there's a lot of techs that do it for time wise, but I'm just teaching you guys what you shouldn't do. I'm not gonna say, hey, do this, but you're not supposed to. But do this. I'm just gonna teach you what you shouldn't do, and you pick up your own bad habits. That's on y'all. Okay? Know the difference between a fistula and a graft. Okay, so with a graft, you do not have to use a tourniquet when you are not looking for the vein when you're about to stick. Fistulas, you have to use a tourniquet for when you are about to stick. That's just the rules of DaVita, so please follow. Well, that's just the rules where I was at. I don't know if it's Fresenius and any other one, but I was at DaVita, so we use a tourniquet for fistulas. We don't use a tourniquet for grafts. So you want to make sure you use your tourniquets, especially if, you know, states or somebody is watching you. You want to make sure you're doing the right procedures. Keep that in mind. Oh, here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing. Listen to the site. Listen to the site. Listen to the site. Listen to the site. Why I say this is, okay, so I was about to stick a patient, right? And so I did my normal routine. I've touched, felt okay, felt good. Then I listened to it. And I was like, this, something ain't right. And so I listened to it again. So I took it off. I looked at make sure, like, you know, just looking at my set, making sure, because my stethoscope, you can cut it on, cut it off. So I was making sure it was cut on, I put it back on, I put it back on the site. The site sounded clotted. And guess what, y'all? It was clotted. So with that being said, when it's not clotted, it's like a thum, thum, thum. Like, you can hear that pulse. And you can also feel the pulse too. So you're supposed to feel and listen. So you can hear that thum, thum, thum of the heartbeat, right? So when it's clotted, you hear like a whistle noise. So that means something's wrong with the access site and you should not stick it. So you should get another tech to listen to hear it, see if they hear the same thing you hear. And if they do, then you should get a nurse. And then the nurse is supposed to contact the doctor. And then that's just that. They're supposed to go to vascular, get that figured out. You can save like a person a stick and you can save their access site if you listen. Because sometimes the access site can be messed up and it sounds decent but not really good. And you're just going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to just run them. Sometimes that work, but sometimes it don't. When people are clotted, it's not going to really run. It's going to barely run. So you really want to get them the help that they need by going to vascular, letting the nurse know, letting the doctors know. So you want to make sure you listen and fill those sites, you guys. Please listen. Please listen. Please fill those sites. All right. Another thing, while we're talking about sites, we're only going to talk about them needles, baby. So when you are sticking somebody, you're not supposed to stick in the same spot every single time. You are not supposed to stick. This is not the plasma center. You do not stick every stick in the same spot. They get 2 sticks now. You're not supposed to stick them in the same spot. When you no, you're supposed to rotate the spots. So say I stuck right here and right here 1 week, right? 1 week. And then next week stick up here, then stick down there. Then next week stick up higher, and then stick, like whatever the access site is. You don't want to stick in the same spot, and you don't want to stick too close because, okay, well, if you guys know, but I'm pretty sure you know, y'all not slow. I give y'all credit. Y'all not slow. Come on now. So these sites are artificial, especially the grafts. They're artificial. The fistula is kind of artificial. It's your vein, but it's blown up. You do not want to mess up their access sites. So you have to rotate the sites. You cannot stick them in the same spot. A graft, once it's damaged, it's done. It's done. That's it. They can't take it out. They can't replace it. Once that graft messed up, they have to get a new graft in a different spot. So you want to rotate your spots. You do not want to stick them in the same spot over and over. And you do not want to stick them too close. Too close is, okay, so you guys know what that cartoon cheese look like with all the holes in them? Their grafts or fistulas will look like that if you continuously stick them in the same spot or if you stick them too close. You have to space out your sticks and you have to rotate your sticks, okay? And when I find I have my stuff, I just have to organize it to videos, like a certain video for you guys. I will go more into depth, but you can ask. I'm pretty sure it's in your training. You have to rotate your sticks and you have to space them out, or you will mess up their access site or their grafts or their fistulas, and they will have to get new ones put in, okay? So just keep that in mind, especially if you're there for the patients, which I hope you are. You do not want to stick them in the same spot at all. Another one. This one's the catheter. This one, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This one's me. So I was working. Everything was good. Everything was fine, y'all. And then I was supposed to go to Georgia because a family member passed away. Wasn't able to go because I had to pay $680 for my truck or whatever. So I couldn't go. Boom. Long story short, came back struggling. I was gone too long, like a week. Came back struggling. Even though I didn't go to Georgia, I still stayed home a week and I just rest. But y'all, I came back struggling. So what happened was, I put somebody on the machine. It was a catheter. I put somebody on the machine. Walked away, put another person on the machine. Walked away, put another person on the machine. You know my normal routine. Tell me why this lady starts bleeding everywhere. Everywhere. And everybody's like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. I was putting somebody on. I was just over here. Everything was fine. I don't know I don't know what happened. Come to find out, I thought, because she was a new person, so we didn't really know her. So I thought she just unloosened her catheter. Like, I thought she just unscrewed it, messing with it or whatever. Come to find out, I didn't screw it tight enough. And the only reason why I know I didn't screw it tight enough, because my trainer, shout out to her if she's watching, I put another patient on. It wasn't the same day, it was a different day. I put another patient on the machine with his catheter, and I was on break. She was walking around, you know, checking like people like you're supposed to do, and she noticed that he had bubbles in his line, which means it was catching air, which means it wasn't tightened enough. You guys, please, please, please. She caught me. She told me. And it was just like, dang. When she told me, I was so hurt. I was like, dang, that was my fault. That was my fault. I know things happen, but you try your best to prevent things like that from happening. Like, y'all, I was so hurt when she told me, like, I'm not gonna lie, I got an attitude. I mean, I didn't get an attitude with her, but I got an attitude like, dang, like, the first incident was me, and then if she wasn't there, it was just like, I went to him, I checked him and everything. I was so upset, y'all. I get mad at myself real easy. So it's just like, I was really hurt, especially when I knew the first incident was me too, and she bled everywhere. And it's not like I wasn't paying attention. I was just putting somebody on. I do make my runs and stuff like that, take my vital signs and stuff like that. But y'all, just make sure you tighten your catheters really tight, like, please, because I was hurt. My little feelings was hurt. I'm not even lying. So make sure you tighten your catheters. Since we are on the catheters, make sure you also clean your catheters. Every time you have a person with a catheter, clean it. Clean it, clean it, clean it. Don't skip that step, because infection is not fun, especially when it's so, like, close to your heart. It's right there. Like, you know, clean your catheters. That's not even an excuse. Not saying that anybody at my center didn't clean catheters. I'm just saying this is supposed to be the help to not make mistakes, and don't skip that step of not cleaning that catheter. Also, while we're on the catheters, don't forget to put in the heparin locks. So some patients, okay, so they get heparin, not everybody. Some patients get heparin before they get on the machine. Some patients get heparin while they're on the machine. And some patients get heparin after they get on the machine. And so most of the patients that get heparin after, when they get off, have catheters. So their lines don't clot up while they're not having dialysis, and they come back. Because sometimes if you forget to put in the heparin lock and they come back and you're like, oh, I'm about to put in the catheter, and you flush it and you pull it with a syringe, it's not going to pull because it's going to be clotted. And then the nurse has to give them medicine that's going to unclot it. They have to sit there for like 10, 15 minutes so it can unclot. But that's only, that type of medicine is only for emergencies only. They're not even given that many. So I forgot what it was called, but if the lines is clotted and the patient really, really needs a treatment, they give them the medicine. It's supposed to sit up there a little bit, and then it's supposed to work. But always remember your heparin locks, because your heparin locks for your catheters will keep them from clotting and keep you from having a problem, having a struggle, everything, okay? Also, you want to label your catheters when you're cleaning them. You want to label them, put your initials, the time, and the dates, okay? Just for you, okay? So somebody don't say you did something you didn't do it, you know when you did it, okay? So I think that's it for the catheters. Oh, and be gentle. Some patients have catheters and it has like a stitch. Like, they'll have a catheter and it'll have a stitch down there, and you don't want to pull too hard because you will pull their stitch. And it's, I treat people so gentle for the simple fact of I know how I am when it comes to me. I'm a baby. I'm a punk. I cannot tolerate pain. So I'm very gentle with others because I know how I am. So if a person even says, "Ooh," I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you like?" You know, that's just how I am. One nurse, she was doing somebody's catheter and she popped both of his stitches out. I was like, ugh. Popped it out of his skin, because sometimes they have the catheter and it'll be held by a stitch, and then it'll hang. So sometimes it'll be hanging by 2 stitches, or have 1 stitch and then the 2 lines will hang. So his had 2 and she popped both of them. I said, dang. Oh, I don't like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable. That makes my stomach quease. Oh, I don't like stuff like that. Because I just know they're in pain. Like, me watching somebody in pain, I don't like watching somebody in pain. I don't like that. Like, that's not fun to me. Like, I don't like that. Make sure you set up your machines correctly. This goes back to looking at the flow sheet. You want to make sure you have the right needles. You want to make sure you have the right dialyzers. Some people are meant for a certain dialyzer for a reason, like a cramp up or something, whatever. Their body reacts a certain way. So please put them on the correct dialyzers. Give them the correct amount of heparin and the right needle packs, because it's just like, that's the whole point. And make sure you're putting them on the right time and how much you're pulling. That's the most important. Shoot, I should have said that first. Y'all, look at your flow sheets. Make sure you are going with them to the scale. Make sure you're calculating how much fluid they have and how much fluid they're supposed to have from the flow sheet. And then be like, okay, so you want to pull off 2 today, or you want to pull off 1.5, and make sure you calculate their max. Okay? Because if you go over their max, you will have a gone patient. You won't have a patient. They'll just be laying there when you get back. Make sure you do all your calculations correctly. Make sure you go by your flow sheet. Because it was too many times where things were, I wouldn't say miscalculated, but people were so rushed into getting the patients on the machine because they want to get them on time that they forget to program the machine. Don't go over their time limit unless the nurse or doctors tell you to, and make sure you pull the right amount of fluid. Oh yeah, also another important thing. All of these are important, matter of fact. Make sure you check on your patients. Check on your patients. You're supposed to check your vital signs every 30 minutes. So that means you should be walking around watching your patients. Hey, are you okay? Hey, you okay? Hey, you okay? You don't look too good. Are you okay? Are you sure? Do you need anything? Do you need a nurse? You want to make sure you check up on your patients, because I'm telling you guys, some patients are so hard-headed, so thugged out as in they tolerate a lot, to the point where they don't know when they should ask for help, or they don't want to ask for help. So it's just like one girl, as you work more with the same patients, which you will because it's dialysis, you will get to know them. You get to know how they feel based off how their body language and their face reactions. So this girl was she was so stubborn, so hard-headed, and so strong-minded. But this girl, I walked past her one day. I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I was like, "All right, such and such, you're not looking too good to me." She's like, "No, I'm fine." So I did I spent a block, did another circle, right? And next thing I know, she was just sitting there, right? I could tell something was wrong when I first, went to her. But she kept saying, "Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine." So I split the block, went back in the circle, came back to her. I said, "No, I don't like how you look and such and such." And she was like, "No, I'm telling you, I'm fine." Y'all, I pressed her blood pressure cuff. And as I was pressing her blood pressure cuff, she was trying to take her mask off, and she froze, and she got so pale. And I said, "Such and such, such and such, such and such." This person, she did not respond whatsoever. So I had to give her some saline. I had to stop pulling. What did I stop pulling? What did I do? It's a certain, y'all, I learned so many techniques. I haven't worked there in a minute. I had to think of what I did. Okay, so we stopped taking her blood, and I was giving her saline because she was pulling too much, and she was going out, like her blood pressure was really, really low, like too low. So I was giving her back her saline, and I called the nurse and Stuff like that can happen in an instant. Somebody can say they're okay, somebody can say they're fine. Whole time they're either lying, or they just don't want to feel like they're being a burden on you, or they just don't want to be bothered, or whatever the case may be. You just want to make sure and don't think, oh, how am I going to be like that, or how can I tell when something's wrong? Trust me, you will know. As you work with these patients, you're going to have the same patients every week until new people come in, or some pass away, but you will have the same patients pretty much every week. So you will learn their face expression. You will learn what they can tolerate. You will learn their mindset, like how they think and how they come in, if they have an attitude, if they're happy. You will know that off the bat just from working with them all the time. So trust me, you will know. You will definitely know when something's wrong. Another thing I'm gonna say is, oh yeah, make sure you take your notes. Make sure you take your blood pressures every 30 minutes, because doctors, if something go wrong with a patient, doctors do go back and look at when you took their blood pressure, how much heparin they're getting every hour, and how much you gave them, and what needle you use and stuff like that. Make sure you cover your butt, put in all the notes. Like if a patient wants to cut their time, make sure you do an AMA, because that will fall back on you because you're their tech. So make sure you do everything that you're supposed to do just to cover your butt, and so you won't get fired for any misunderstanding or anything like that. So that's one main thing. And you make sure, speak up. And what I mean by speak up, I'm about to tell y'all a little story. It's going to be a quick little story. Speak up for yourself. If you do not know something, let somebody know. If you are confused, let somebody know. If you don't understand, let somebody know. If you're lost, if you're not sure if you're doing something right, let somebody know. These are these people's lives. And I'm about to tear up, and I'm trying not to tear up. Just say it tonight. These are these patients' lives. They are depending on us to take care of them, to get the fluid off them so they can live longer. So if you are being trained and you feel like your training is not top tier, if you feel like you're not understanding, if you feel like you don't get it, if you feel like you're being rushed to be on your own, let your center director know, let your trainer know. Speak up for yourself, because if you don't speak up for yourself, nobody's going to know, and then you're going to get on the floor dealing with somebody's life. These are people's lives, and the only reason why I'm giving this little so-called speech at the end of this video is because we had a person that's been in the field for probably 7 months, and she still didn't understand. She came from a different center, which should have told us something, but we don't judge people when they come in, right? So she was already a DaVita person. She was coming from a different center, so that means something happened at the center. She wanted to come to our center. I think I told this story before. This is one of my favorite patients. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but it happens. It just happens. I was on my side. I was just doing my vital signs, and I see the new tech over there. She's just walking around in circles, scratching her head, like literally scratching her head, standing back looking at the machine. And I was like, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So she's continuously walking in circles, and I'm like, what is wrong? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong, right? Because she told me everything's okay, but she's looking like mad, like confused, upset. Plus my man's is over there, so it's like, what's going on, y'all? When I tell y'all, I looked up saline bag full of motherfucking blood. I'm sorry, I gotta curse. The saline bag was so full of blood. I understand I made that mistake before of connecting the lines wrong, but it never got that full. Like, it was like this much blood. Like, it would turn the bag like maybe like a, not even pink. It wasn't that much blood. Like, I would catch it and then, fix it. Y'all, she didn't catch it. It was like that bag was sucked out of saline and full of blood. Like, that was like, it was black. The saline bag was black. So I went over there and I'm running. I'm like, oh my God. Mind you, the man is laying on the bed. eyes bulged out, tongue blue. He's not breathing. And at this point, I am panicking like a motherfucker, because this is my man. This is my patient. I almost said my baby, my patient. So I was like, no. I said, I called one of the experienced tech. I called the nurse. The nurse didn't know what the fuck to do, because the nurses, they're only trained like a month. They're not really trained like the techs. The nurse looking like, what the fuck? So the nurse is calling 911. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So she's calling 911. The lines are clogged. I got the experienced tech. The only thing I knew to do was get the oxygen, because the man's not breathing. So I got the oxygen, hooked him up to the oxygen, put him on like 2, 3, 4, because he was not breathing. The experienced tech, she got the blood lines, and she told me to get a fresh saline bag. Got that, and she had to unhook him from his lines because it was clotted. There was no way to give him back his blood because it was clotted, because the girl waited so long. She had to put a clean bloodline directly to his catheter and push one of the boy techs pushed the saline straight to his catheter. He needed 2 bags of saline. 2 bags of saline to bring him back. Like, he was gone, y'all. Eyes bulged out, tongue blue, expressionless. He pale, and he was a black man. He was so pale. He was not breathing. So after we gave him the 2 saline bags, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I lost it. I'm talking to him. I'm tearing up. I'm saying, hey, it's me. Are you okay? Just trying to start a conversation. I was like, do you know where you're at? Do you know what you're gonna do when you get home? Your wife is outside. Like, she was outside in the waiting room. I was like, your wife is outside, da. I was like, hey. He was not responding to me, y'all. I started bawling, like, not like boo-hoo, but like tears was coming down. And then he started coughing, and he started talking. I said, hey, it's me. He was like, hey, baby. And I was like, do you know what you gonna do when you get home? And he was like, no, I don't know. I don't know what the wife got planned. And I was like, well, do you know what you're gonna eat? At least you gonna go somewhere, you gonna party? Like, I'm just conversating with him just so he could talk. I was so relieved when he talked to me. When he was talking to me, I was so relieved. I was crying so bad. And then that was that. And then after that, when that whole situation was over with, they still had to call 911, even though we brought him back just to make sure he was okay. Y'all, I went into the back of the storage room, and I bawled my eyes out. I just bawled my eyes out, because it's just like, dang, like, stuff like that can happen anytime to anybody. So I didn't fuss at the girl. I didn't like, why didn't you why did I just poured to the side, and I said, you have to, if you don't know, you have to ask for help. You have to ask for help. You have to be like, I don't know. You have to be like, I'm lost. I did something wrong. You should have, if anything, you guys, if you do something wrong on the machine and you see the blood is not going where it's supposed to go, like to the saline bag, or you see like it's not pulling right up, pause the machine. That's the most helpful thing you can do. If she would have paused the machine, the blood wouldn't have we wouldn't have took all that man's blood and been in that saline bag like that. So if anything, when something is wrong, pause the machine, get a nurse, get somebody that can help you. Anything. That's just all I had to say about that. Nobody fussed her out, nobody yelled at her, nobody cussed her out, because people make mistakes, but it's just like, ask for help. Just ask for help. So that's all I have to say. I'm glad I didn't cry, because y'all, I was bawling my eyes out then. But I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it helped you. I'm enjoying giving these helpful videos out for you guys. So if you have any more suggestions, please leave them down in the comment section. Oh, excuse me, that was ugly. And I will get to you. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be posting once a week, if not more than once a week. We're coming back with these videos, you guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying the videos and the content, just like I'm enjoying putting them out. And y'all keep your mask on, keep your hands washed, keep your hands washed, keep your mask on. Stay safe, stay cautious, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Sorry you had to wait so long. I apologize. I'm trying.